16th century warlord Oda Nobunaga never quite managed to unify Japan under his control, but he gave it a damn good go. Ruthless and strategically brilliant, he understood that wars aren't won solely through military might. To defeat your enemies, you have to have a strong economic foundation, superior weapons, and a strong network of allies to call upon. Nobunaga's ambition, sphere of influence, challenges you to go one step further than the great man managed, and bring the entire island of Japan under the iron grip of your clan. Rather than a grand campaign, Sphere of Influence offers several start points set at key points in Nobunaga's life, as well as some that take place in a chaotic vacuum of power after his death. Though there's the option of playing things out historically, following quest chains that tell the real life story of what happened, you're not restricted to controlling one clan or even real life figures. You can create your own ruler if you wish, and there's a respectable suite of options for setting up a unique custom game. Once you've chosen a ruler and started a campaign, the initial setup is familiar grand strategy stuff. You start, depending on your choice of time period, with a few major holdings scattered around the map. These are your feudal castles and their surrounding villages, forming the bread baskets and manpower reserve for your budding shogunate. Each of these holdings can be upgraded, developed and secured with military fortifications by spending labour reserve. This builds up depending on the number of civilians at your disposal, and in the early stages is a key resource. Later on, you'll have all the peasant labour you need and more. Sphere of Ambition does get markedly less fun when you have a sizable empire to take care of. This is a familiar problem with games in this genre. Once you have dozens of holdings to worry about, managing them all and dealing with hordes of disloyal retainers becomes a tedious headache. Sphere of Ambition's often obtuse interface doesn't help matters. Menus are unintuitive and cluttered with statistics and concepts that aren't well explained, and you're bombarded with pop-ups from your various retainers, and generally bogged down with micromanaging that isn't very fun or interesting. On a more positive note, Sphere of Ambition does do a nice line in diplomacy, offering you plenty of options to help secure your position. In other games in this genre, diplomacy often feels like it's a bit of an odd afterthought. A token gesture that might give you a few rounds to breathe before the AI inevitably betrays you. Here it's far more reliable and essential to would-be conquerors. If you simply gather your armies and start running roughshod over neighbouring clans, you'll quickly find alliances and coalitions springing up against you. Even at the height of their power, Nobunaga's Oda clan can't take on the whole of Japan. Instead, you have to send out your smoothest talkers and secure your relations with clans you're not immediately interested in conquering, creating a network of support that will provide you with extra troops in the event of an enemy attack. There's a range of different approaches to employ. You could opt for straightforward negotiation, you could bribe greedy leaders with looted treasure, and even work on enemy generals' loyalty over time, swaying them to the point where they will immediately surrender if you pass through their lands on the way to defeat their leader. It's a complex web of alliances of convenience and minor betrayals that offers a more personal, Machiavellian take on war. You won't become shogun merely by excelling at warfare, which is good news because the real-time battles are a bit of a mess. Forces are represented by wedges on the campaign map, and you can either order them around manually or issue mass deployment orders to summon all your levies to a certain region at once. If they bump into an enemy army as they move forward, they'll start hammering away at each other. You aren't forced into the real-time battle mode, you can let the AI do all the work, but if the situation is dicey, you'll need to hop in and take control yourself. Unlike the strict rock paper scissors approach of games like Total War, in Sphere of Influence you're given blobs of generalised troops, infantry, cavalry and ranged units all bunched up together. Rather than setting your formation out, picking away at the opposing army with your archers and breaking their infantry with a well-timed cavalry charge, you just sort of point your units at the enemy and let them get on with it. Effectiveness in battle is really about the commanders you have at your disposal, rather than the grunts doing the fighting and dying. Each unit is led by one of your retainers, and each of these has a set of abilities to use in battle that are dependent on their individual traits. Cavalry leaders can close with the enemy more quickly, while musket specialists can decrease reload times. There is a slight pleasure to be had in activating these powers at just the right time to cause maximum carnage, but there's little real sense of impact thanks to the combat engine's muddy, ugly graphics and awkward animations. Hero abilities are a little dose of tactical variety that sadly can't prevent battles from feeling like an awkward, clunky chore. You can avoid fighting them at all, of course, but that leaves the game feeling a bit lacking. The diplomacy is well done, but without a robust battle system and satisfying nation building to back it up, game just feels like it's missing something. It's all build up with no payoff. It's a shame because Sphere of Influence does some interesting things with the standard grand strategy formula. The way it mixes historical storytelling with free-form play is commendable, as is its focus on the political, personal side of military campaigning. Unfortunately, it falls at the final hurdle, much like Nobunaga himself in fact. GameWatcher gives it a slightly disappointing 6.5. For more from GameWatcher, please subscribe to our YouTube channel below or follow us on Twitter at GameWatcher.com.